The Little Mermaid. Far beneath the waves lived a little mermaid. She was the Sea King's daughter, the youngest of 6 beautiful sisters, all with long, flowing hair and eyes as blue as the deepest waters. Their home was a coral palace, where fish flitted through great halls. Outside the palace was a garden, with flaming red and deep blue trees growing in the soil of the finest sands. Each princess had her own plot where she could plant whatever she liked. One of them made a flower bed shaped like a whale. The youngest made hers as round as the sun, and there she grew only scarlet flowers, as rosy red as the sun itself. She was a strange child, quiet and wistful. While her sisters decorated their gardens with all sorts of treasures rescued from sunken ships, the little mermaid had only one white marble statue of a handsome boy. Nothing gave her more pleasure than hearing about the land above the waves. When you get to be 15, her grandmother said, you will be allowed to rise up out of the ocean and sit on the rocks in the moonlight to watch the ships sailing by. As each sister turned 15, they swam up to the surface. Back they came with stories of sun, sky, and people. The little mermaid listened longingly. Once, after a storm, she'd rescued a human prince from drowning. She never forgot him. One day, she vowed, I'll find my prince. On her 15th birthday, her grandmother combed her flowing hair and let oysters attach themselves to her tail. Ow! Cried the little mermaid. But her grandmother replied, Be still. Don't you want to look beautiful for your birthday? Do humans think we are beautiful? Humans, scoffed the grandmother. They don't have tails like us, but ugly legs instead. At last her grandmother finished, and the little mermaid rose up through the water as light and sparkling as a bubble. The sun had just gone down when her head rose above the surface, but the clouds still shone, golden and rosy pink. The air was mild and fresh, and the sea unruffled. In front of her lay a great 3-masted ship, lively with music and singing, and brightly lit by hundreds of lanterns. The little mermaid swam up to the window on the main chamber, gazing at the crowd of brilliantly dressed people. The most handsome of all was a young prince with big, dark eyes. My prince, she thought, and love for him flooded her heart. Sighing, she dove back down to the bottom of the sea and her father's palace. But many evenings and most mornings after that, she swam up to where his palace stood, desperate for just a glimpse of the prince. One night, her father held a court ball. Amidst the singing and dancing, the little mermaid slipped away to sit sadly in her garden. All she could think of was the prince. If I had legs, she thought, I could be with him forever. So she decided to visit the sea witch to ask for help. Raging whirlpools blocked the way and branches of worms grabbed at her hair. The little mermaid was terrified and nearly turned back, but she remembered the prince and summoned her courage. Binding her hair tightly to her head, she darted through the water like a fish. In a muddy clearing, she found the sea witch, feeding toads. I know exactly what you want, foolish thing, said the sea witch. You want 2 legs so you can walk about like a human creature, and have the young prince fall in love with you. At this, she gave a loud, cackling laugh. Well, I can make a potion, but if I give you legs, every step will stab you like a sword. You will lose your voice, and you can never be a mermaid again, she warned. What will I have left? Asked the little mermaid. Your beauty, replied the witch, but beware. If the prince doesn't love you back, you will die. Do you still want the potion? Yes, the little mermaid said, thinking of the prince, though her voice trembled. She swallowed the potion the witch poured for her and fell instantly asleep. When she awoke, she was lying on the beach, and her prince was bending over her. "Who are you?" he asked, but she had no voice and couldn't utter a word. "I love you," said her eyes. "You remind me of a maiden I dreamed of when I nearly drowned," said the prince. "Come, walk with me to my castle." Every step was agony. The little mermaid stayed with him, but the prince only loved her the way he would love a younger sister or a pet. Once, walking by the sea, she saw her own sisters. "Come back," they chorused, stretching out their arms. But the little mermaid knew she couldn't return to her old life. After a time, the prince told her he was to be married. "My princess looks a little like you," he smiled. "Aren't you happy for me?" The little mermaid's heart broke. She went to the shore where she saw her sisters, all with short hair. "We gave the sea witch our hair for a magic knife. If you just kill the prince, you can be a mermaid again." The little mermaid took the knife from them, but then she flung it into the foaming waves. "I could never hurt my prince," she thought. "I still love him." With that, she slipped into the sea and disappeared forever. The end.